Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Phoebe. Today we're going to talk about the books that I read in November. And boy, if I started off my October video saying that October was a disappointing reading month, wait till you see what I read this month. Because I only read 4 books. And really none of them were that good. To start with, I read The Witch's Kind by Louisa Morgan. This is yet another book where after I read it and was disappointed, I realized I should have known that I would be disappointed in it because it's not a genre that I enjoy. It's magical realism. How many times have I talked about books on this channel and said I didn't like it because I don't like magical realism? When will I learn? They just always sound so interesting, but then there's something in the execution that is always lacking for me. I think what it is Katherine Howe is one of my favorite authors of all time. All of her books are magical realism. I love all of her books. So it would stand to reason in my mind that other magical realism books would be enjoyable. But it is clearly not meant to be. This book follows a woman and her aunt living in a small town in, I want to say, Washington in the aftermath of World War II. They find this mysterious baby, and the book is about basically the Men in Black trying to come take this baby from them. If I get more into detail about it, I'll give away spoilers. My overall thoughts on the book: it was way too long for what it was. It's kind of marketed as being a beautiful book about the relationship between mothers and daughters, and the mothers and daughters that we choose for ourselves, basically. It was just super disappointing. Didn't care about the characters, didn't care about the story. It took me forever to read. Like I said, it was way too long for what it was. So that's my thoughts on The Witch's Kind. I think the next book that I picked up after that was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This book, I feel like people are in 2 camps on. Either you love this book and it's like one of your all-time favorites, or you hate this book and you don't understand why everyone else liked it. And I feel like I fell in just a total middle ground. I neither loved nor hated this book. I gave it a solid 3 out of 5 stars. I felt like it started out pretty slow. The first half, not a lot happened. But then towards the end, things started to really pick up and it got a little bit more interesting. I think it felt that way just because it's the first book in a trilogy, so it kind of makes sense that it starts off a little slow and then starts to build more because we've got 2 more books that have to build off of this one. Maybe not like the most elegantly executed first book in a trilogy, but overall I'm not mad at it. The Cruel Prince, in case you don't know, is about a human teenage girl named Jude who has been brought up living amongst the fairies. She doesn't fit in. She never will fit in because she's a human and a mortal, but she desperately wants to fit in this world. And it's kind of, I mean, it's like YA, like political intrigue as Jude ends up becoming a spy for one of the fairy like rulers and ends up kind of getting her hands in the political power grab that's happening as one king is stepping down and another one is being appointed. So I enjoyed it enough that I am excited to see where the rest, like genuinely excited to see where the rest of the trilogy goes and see how I feel about it. Because I feel like a lot of people, even if they didn't really like The Cruel Prince, if they stuck with the series, they ended up enjoying the later books in the trilogy more. So I do think that I'm hoping that I'll be the same way. Since I had like a mediocre interest in this book, the series will get better and I'll enjoy it more. The third book that I read, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I believe it was Kristin Hannah's Magic Hour. Kristin Hannah is an author that I would consider one of my top favorites. Probably my favorite book of all time. The Great Alone is by her. The Nightingale, really enjoyed. True Colors, really enjoyed. I'm trying to think of some other ones off the top of my head. For the most part, I really like her books. But the more that I read of her, I think this is maybe the 6th, 7th, somewhere between like the 6th and the 8th book of hers that I've read. And the more that I read, the more that I find her older works are really lacking. This book was, I hate to say it, Kristin Hannah, garbage from start to finish. I'm just going to go ahead and we'll go through the synopsis. In this book, there are two sisters. One is a psychiatrist in LA. One is the chief of police in the small town that they're from. The psychiatrist ends up being basically run out of town on a rail because she's a child psychologist. One of her clients ends up like shooting up a church or something. And so she ends up getting really like shamed by the media because how did she not know that her client would become so violent? And she ends up going back home to this small town because her sister, who is the chief of police, finds a girl who has been living like wild in the woods and is nonverbal. And they're trying to figure out how she came to be in the woods, who she is, all that kind of stuff. The psychiatrist's sister ends up, one of the things that really was weird to me was the romantic relationship in this book. The psychiatrist's sister is interested, of course, there's like a young hot male doctor in this small town, and she's really seems kind of interested in him. But then her sister, the chief of police, tells her that they like drunkenly hooked up one night, and she still like has a romantic interest in him. And spoiler alert, they get together at the end of the book. And I felt like that to me was super weird, because if I knew that a man had, I don't have a sister, I have two brothers, but I feel like if I knew that someone had hooked up with one of my siblings, that would immediately kill any romantic interest I had in them. And then also these characters, Kristin Hannah usually has such beautiful, I feel like well-developed, three-dimensional characters. These were just bad, like so flat. They had like one personality trait, and then just stupid. For example, the psychiatrist's sister, when she is like falling for this doctor or whatever, there's one point where she goes to his house. It's something like work related. And she is like, while she's at his house, she's like drawing a lot of conclusions about him. She's like looking at the things that he has and the stuff that he does and enjoys. And she's like, oh, you enjoy rock climbing. You must be such an adrenaline junkie. You must be like trying to fill like some kind of void in yourself with this activity, this and that. He brings up like dating or something. And she's like, well, I'm not interested in men like you, because men like you aren't looking for anything serious, and I want a serious relationship. And he's just like, damn girl, who hurt you? And she's like, it's like he saw right through me and knew everything about me. How could he tell that I'd been hurt before? And it's like, girl, because you might as well be holding like a sign that's like, one time a man was mean to me and now I hate all of them. Which, like, we've all been there, but like for a psychiatrist, it felt so over the top and out of character and weird. So anyway, I really hated this book. I don't recommend it at all, even if you're a big Kristin Hannah fan like I am. This was just plain bad. The fourth and final book that I finished in the month of November was Code to Zero by Ken Follett, which I was actually surprised because the reviews on Goodreads were very lukewarm. I enjoyed this book. I was really surprised that I enjoyed it because it's historical fiction, and I don't really read historical fiction. But this is this is set in like the Cold War space race era. It's like a spy thriller about, the space race, and the KGB and like the CIA being formed. Basically this man, we follow our main character who wakes up with no recollection of really anything. He just wakes up like on the street one day and has no idea who he is or why he came to be where he is. And so the book is following him, trying to figure out his memories, who erased his memories, why they erased his memories, and then also in the end trying to save a rocket launch that will change the course of the space race for the US versus Russia. So this book was pretty short, pretty fast paced, which I was happy of, because between The Magic Hour and The Witch's Kind, I felt like I was in quite the reading slump. Yeah, I really liked this book. I feel like it did, it's not like an all-time fave. It didn't leave me with like a lot to think about, but a good, fun, fast-paced, like spy thriller read, historical fiction. If any of those are checking any boxes for you, I would definitely recommend checking this book out. Yeah. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned for another video later this month. We'll see when that gets filmed. I feel like things are going to be super crazy with the holidays. And again, I'm really busy working a lot of overtime. And now I've got this fun wrist injury to contend with as well. So I'm just living my best life here, trying to read books and also talk about them in front of a camera because it makes me happy in this dark time when that's important. Anyway, guys, like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in more of me babbling in front of a camera. Thanks for watching. Bye.